Hello and welcome to Great Train Layouts Live, the show where we construct model railroad track plans in Train Z Railroad Simulator right before your very eyes. I'm your host, Nick Ozerak. Hello and welcome to Great Train Layouts Live, the show where we open in another window. You'll have to apologize. Model railroad track plans in Train Z Railroad Simulator right before your very eyes. Well, if it's not muting the microphone, it's something else. There's the window. And okay, before this feedback loop gets a little too much, it is great to have you here tonight, and we are starting a series called Build It with Broadway, where we are sponsored by Broadway Limited Imports, makers of fine scale equipment like this Reading T1, and a Reading T1 this gorgeous needs a home. We're going to give it one tonight by building the Reading Pond Creek branch. So, without further ado, because we are starting a little late, for which I apologize, we're going to get to constructing this beauty. This is a track plan by Dan Bourque of Appalachian Railroad Modeling. You can check out his work in the description. He envisioned it as an N&W branch. It is based on a real N&W branch. But I figured, there's a lot of ideas here that work for the Reading. So that's what we're going to do. We've got 3 different mines. We've got the ability to run around in loop fashion or do a proper staging out and back kind of scenario, all within the confines of a 6x4 space. So we're gonna build layout to fit that space. Something where, if you got this Reading T1, you fell in love with it, and you're like, okay, what could I do? I don't have a lot of room, so what could I do that makes some degree of operational sense? And I imagine some of you are in the boat where you've come across a piece of rolling stock where you just loved it so much. It's like, I'm getting this even though I don't know quite what I want to do with it. And so this is in that kind of spirit of you've gotten the thing and you're like, this is a cool thing, but how do I make this thing actually do something? Something like that. A lot of things. So, we'll get to building this. Hope you guys are doing well on this fine evening. Good to see you, Millennial Modeler, King Gamer Chase 44, John Overman, Matthew Harris, Mr. Railyard. Glad to see all of you here tonight as we on building the track plan. And later on in the live stream, as always, we are going to play with this. You're also going to get to see the Broadway Limited T1 in and scale version. So, first thing we do is we get our track laid out, and for this, this is a pretty straightforward plan. Thinking about this in advance, a great train layout is not necessarily one that has to be big. It just has to do what you want it to do well enough. And I look at this plan, and yes, it's simple, and I'm sure there are many different variations of this kind of plan out there, but it works. And if it works, then it's great. And we're going to kind of explore creatively what we could do in such a small space. We can explore what we could do in this kind of space. So, this is, plus it's an opportunity to get into N scale, which funny thing, so this series that we'll be doing with Broadway, this is the first of such episodes. Not going to be concurrent, could take, here and there breaks from it, but, there will be more coming in this series. And I got distracted by in the yard ladder. I'll eventually remember what I was going to with that thought. But yay! Oh yes, yay and scale. So they sent me the locomotive, and it's like, okay, I do have N scale track in a storage unit somewhere. I actually had to go to my local hobby shop, and when I say local, that's an hour's drive from me. But I went to my local-ish hobby shop, and got some scale track. It was interesting. And you'll see that in action later. I just have tiny stuff, is it? It really is teeny tiny. Which is sometimes a detriment. I mean, look, I will fully confess to primarily being an HO guy, but does N have its advantages? Absolutely, especially when it comes to being able to do a lot in a little, which is very much what we're going to be doing. Oh, that's right. Tonight's theme is about doing somewhat a lot in a little, a reasonable lot in a little, how I'd put it. And I have funky things going. That's there we go. Not doing too much, but being able to have enough that one could be satisfied operationally. Hello, Mikey Allen. Glad that you could join us tonight. I have my first water break. So, what we've got going on here, the basic loop design, staging is going to be underneath in a tunnel. Then we've got what essentially amounts to two branches. We've got one that's going to go up into the hills, and then another one that comes off the side here. 3 mines being served total should give us a good amount of things. So, first thing first is going to lay out all of our flat track, and then we're going to figure out this grade. Now, this plan doesn't specify the grades, so that's part of what we're going to be using trains with a Z to determine is what makes the most sense as far as grade profiles are concerned. Our main goal is to make sure we have enough clearance between this upper mine and the track beneath. And I will confess, I a little work ahead yet. Experimented myself a base idea of what I think I'm going to want to do as far as the grades are concerned. Because I want to get... We're not going to get this 100% done in terms of the fascia and the walls and that kind of thing. But I'd like to get the basic scenery done tonight in the next 2 hours. That's going to be our goal. Oh, hey, Steve. Welcome to the live stream. Oh, ready T1s can't stay away? Well, I understand. I understand. Good to see you here. And that's the thing. It's like, honestly, I am very much... Sometimes I gotta let you in on a little secret. I envy people who can really focus in on one prototype to model. Like, they want that one thing and they commit to it. I frequently wish that it was that straightforward for me. I mean, as I've talked before with you on the show, I am a Canadian Steam guy. That is my passion. But I'll admit that I get sidetracked. And it's not even sidetracked. I just like a lot of different things. So, yes, I'm building up my collection of Rapido steam locomotives. And I also have Whiz Beach and Upwell Tramway trams. And I have modern Western New York and Pennsylvania Alcos, because that's what I grew up around in my hometown of Meadville. And I have a random dinner train. And, of course, I have Greenfield. So it's like, and there's times I look at folks, like I interviewed Jack Burgess modeler who created the Yosemite Valley Railroad. And it's like, I wish I had that focus. I wish I could just say, this is what I'm going to do, and that is what I do. But I've kind of made my peace with the fact that I like a lot of different things. And as we're going to see with this layout, there's ways that you can do that. Like, this is not a space hog of a layout. This is 6 feet by 4 feet. You could fit it into a corner of a room and have room for something else. If I didn't have Greenfield Village, I could probably fit it in one of the corners of the office. Okay, let's talk about the grades. So, in experimenting last night, I was seeing what we need to do to get this mine clear. And the conclusion I came to is that it could be possible to just have a 4%er coming up from this track, which is kind of a team track in this village. That have this come up a 4% grade. Doable, but very deep. So instead, what I'm going to experiment is kind of splitting it 2%, 2%. Hopefully that giving us the height clearance to be able to make sure that makes sense. So it's going to come to this 2%, and then from here we'll go back down 2%, and it hopefully levels out by that switch. This plan was originally drawn as an HO scale track plan, but the thing with a lot of HO scale track plans is it's very easy to downsize them to N. Some you would need to change, like your aisle. If you have an aisle width, you're going to have to account for that. In this case, not a problem. The aisle account for it. And that's something to consider too as you're kind of making your plans and your research of what would I like to make. If you're going for something smaller, you might, if you're going for, let's say, you might see an HO plan where you're like, yeah, but I'm an N scale person, and well, not take much to make an N scale plan or an HO plan work in, or an O plan work for O. Depends on the situation. Okay, so we've got this height of about so 2.64, so that's going to be a little over an inch tall. Ask me how I know. And then we're going to have this grade climbing up 2%. And our big question is, what kind of clearance does that give when we get to... And we can check that by putting some rolling stock underneath. And if we type in Reading, we'll take a preview of what we're going to be playing with later today. That, of course, being 1. And we can see that 2% and 2% isn't quite enough. So I think we'll keep the main line. We'll keep the main line at a 2% rise. I don't want to make that super steep, but we'll make this branch a 4% rise. A steep climb, but should make sense and shouldn't impact our operations. I don't think we're going to need to be putting parking cars on that grade. So, with a 4% rise, did we clear it enough? The answer is yes. Now we've got the clearance we need. Our train can fit. As long as we're not running intermodal double stacks, we'll be fine to clear this track. So, that is a height of 7.58, which that's actual meters. So if we do the math on that, that's 3.4 inches of clearance, which makes sense. I mean, N scale trains, you're talking, like an inch tall. So that makes, wait, I'm using HO measurement. So I don't know the conversion off the top of my head. But if you wanted to math it out, take 7.58, and that's actual meters. Okay, fine. You talked me, well, I talked myself into it. So 7.58 actual meters, and we're dividing that by 100 for a scale factor, and then we need to convert meters to meters. What is that? Meters to inches. Oh, 39. Okay, so 0.4 times 1.8 inches. There we go. That's our actual height from the bottom of staging to the underside of this track. Mr. Railyard, you're a Canadian steam guy too. Well, it is good to have company in that. Matthew Harris, Oxford layout crashes when you try to load it. I don't know what to tell you there. Make sure you don't have any faulty dependencies. You start with that. Maybe turn down your display settings. What do I think about the CPKC? I mean, yeah, excited. Hope to make it out for 2016, doing the public excursion thing. Not sure if I'll be able to or not, but would certainly like to see that in person. Okay, so now we need to have our yard tracks, which I think I'm gonna lay flat. Is this? Oop. So we need to have, if I hide the root layer, okay, so that's a straight until it curves there. I could do that. I can do that. If I really wanted to, I could hide this and make the top layer a different layer. But yeah, we'll do that. So I'm going to add a new layer called top layer. And I'm going to move top layer to right about here, just so that I can turn off this bottom layer while I make track. That's going to make it a little easier for me to do what I'm about to. Oh, and then, but this mine is on the wrong layer, so I need to change that. So I go into its properties, I set it to the top layer, and now, wrong layer hidden, it's visible. So let's get this yard laid out, nothing too complicated here. I need to turn off the grade profile of that. We're just play the track. So, put in our straight section. We need to change the spacing a little bit. Sorry for my Facebook. I'll log out of that. That won't be an issue. And then back we go. So yeah, we're changing the spacing a little bit because this industry has fixed spots. Obviously, if you're building your own structures and so forth, you can kind of fit things as you need to. I really admire Dan's work. He, his ability to draw these really cool plans, and note, draw them. I actually interviewed him for the podcast, and I recommend checking out that episode. If you go to the roundhousepodcast.com, search Appalachian Railroad Modeling, you can see his work there, and it's very well done. And he does a number of different prototypes and so forth. There's another plan of his I intended. Okay, so with this mine, I need to move this over, because otherwise this curve is going to come up too quick, and that's going to be an issue. So I need to move the mine over, and then I'm going to exit. We need to line up the mine out. There we go, like that, and then I think I can make this work. So that here, and then I should have the room to put that switch right where I need here, connect there, and it kind of goes at a bit of a funky angle, so we'll it, and that looks like it's going to fit. So I can delete this. I can raise all the track up to that 7.58 height. And then for the mine, I'm going to raise that up to 7.58 height, which I have to do by raising land, because otherwise the mine's just going to be hovering in the and look kind of. All right, with that done, now we can go the lower layer. Boom. And I'm going to be building the lower layer. And then I'm just going to connect this section. That isn't locked her. Oh, I locked the layer. Now we'll unlock it. And we'll connect there to there, and boom. That is our track work complete. And then I have these extra tracks here because that's the size of working work. I'm going to add invisible tracks just so that when we're playing the game, those are hidden. So I'll put one there and one here. And now when we go into play mode, just to briefly show it, we'll see that it now has hidden those extra tracks. So I'm already excited now seeing what the track plan looks like in this rudimentary form. And I can confirm that this T1 is going to go around all my curves. I checked the rate. So one of the things I did when I play tested with this is I checked, and I could say that the recommendation minimum radius is 9.75 inches. I was actually able to get it to go around 9-inch radius curves, and it didn't have issues. Your mileage may vary. Obviously, you should test your equipment on potentially tricky sections before you commit to your build, but that was my experience in testing. So, with that said and done, oh, something tells me I forgot to lower one of the... Oh yeah, that track section is a little bit... We'll fix that. By height to here, and now that looks much better. And we'll apply it to that. Funky things don't happen when you stop. Alright, let's talk scenery. What do we got going on tonight? Well, I am glad you asked. Because I'm sure you... Even if not in the chat, I'm sure you asked in some capacity. I'll leave you in suspense while I have some water. Hi, Christina. Glad you're able to join us tonight. Okay. So let's talk scenery for this. Part of why I love these builds that I'm able to really do mostly in a single lane, and I think this is the case of what we've got going on here. No major cities. A lot of this is just going to be mountain with trees with a few towns. So I'm thinking what I want to do here, I want to do a station scene. I'd like to have a station. Now, prototype would suggest, and I'm just getting all the notifications. I'd love to build a station. Oh wait, I'm not seeing my cursor. I gotta check and see cursor or not. That would be worth knowing. You're not seeing my cursor. Okay, now you can see what I'm pointing at. So, prototypically, you'd have a station with a passage track, so that would suggest we should put it here. I'm kind of tempted to put it on the curves. So, like, we have this station on the curve here, and then we have the team track there. Because this feels more like the town. This is just trees. Because we're going to separate these two scenically. I could build a station there. And maybe that's a thing I'll do. I do not know. I will have to give that some thought. I want to add a station scene is the main point. Other than that, we've just got some company houses here. Probably like a general store, street. So this street's just going to follow up along the track, cross over the main line here, and cross over the branch here. Everything else is going to be mountain. So let's do some building selection. Just to kind of, I feel like putting the buildings in place is going to help to guide our thinking with the topography. So I want to put company. So let's see what comes up. Gas company house sounds as good as any to me. So I think like a few of those here would look lovely. Yeah, and they fit just right. I'm happy with that. They're a bit tall because we see porches, but we'll lower them. Look at them fixed into place with. Ah, that looks good. See, even on a basic level, the visualization that you can get with a train simulator is valuable. The amount of things that you can tell just by, okay, I've placed buildings and I'm seeing what this looks like. Really good. Let's see about a general store. I want this to be a general store. Not this kind of general store, but we'll set that there as a placeholder. Use that one. Oh, this might be my tip. Yeah, I like this. It's kind of vintage. That'll be our general store. We'll put that over here. And then let's look at station up. I don't think I have any ready. I do not. So we'll just look at general. See what feels interesting. I'm thinking wood, and I'm thinking smaller is what I want to go with. So this is one style that I'm thinking. If I did it on the curve, something like this, I kind of dig. Because it works for that unusual placement. So we'll put that there as one option. I want this to be some type of shed, or like a maintenance shed. So okay. No, I know what I want. We'll go with EBT hand car shed. There we go. Should have been hand cars is so yeah, that right there looks nice. And then some kind of maybe that Roger station. I do like that Roger station, and I know I've already used it on the old, but like that one. So let's see. So yep, there we go. So this is the choice that we have. Oh, that looks sharp. So here's the choice we've got. Do we put the station on the curve, or do we put the station on the straight? I know what I'm leaning towards, but let's make it a voting option. So leave your comment if you're in the live stream for whether you think our station should be here on the straight, or whether you think it should be on the curve. I could go either way. I know which way I want to go, but I'm going to leave it up to you. While you're filing your responses, that means all our buildings are in place. Yay. Let's put roads down, because I'm going to use spline roads for this part. And so that is the last thing I feel like we need to have established, and then we can navigate. Well, not navigate, we can create. The mountains. Thank you, words. Okay, so some kind of dirt road coming here. A bit to, oh, a T. The darker dirt road that I really did. I'll have to find that later. But I can make this one work. I'm happy enough with that. Grab that spline. So this road is pretty much going to come here, and then I think maybe come down to the mine. Maybe even go under where that fourth track would be. If it's something interesting to do, that kind of thing. Then we're going to leave it there, and we're going to see why we're going to leave it. We're going to very soon employ one of the tricks of this plan that I really like about it. Then our second road's going to be basically going through here. Good enough for now. So, we've got buildings, we've got roads. That's going to be a river. We are going to need to put some bridges in place, but we'll worry about that. I want to worry about that now, right? Should probably worry about that now. Okay, we need some trestles. See what we've got for trestles that I am happy with. Want trestles that act like tracks, though. Not the bridge trestles that force you to build straight. I'll probably go with that guy. Put a spline point here. Here. Although I want to get the height of that so I don't screw that up. Place, and then grab this spline height. Set that. And there we go. One of two trestles. Do I want to make them both wooden, or do I want to... like the idea of doing a girder. I'm going to make that girder bridge from scratch. And that's almost at 0 level anyway, so I don't have to worry too much about that. Yeah, I want to make the girder bridge. Just to have a little bit of variety, so it's not all wooden. Much as I could be persuaded to do all wooden. This section. And then I can reset that grade, because moving that spline point kept the height. There. And let me see if I can do that point. Nope. Grade. Point. That looks better. Add 1 point here and then delete there. There we are. And then -2 from there to there. Good. Okay. We now have a bridge in place. Now let's get to where we move mountains by making mountains. Let's see. John Overbed, definitely feeling mountains since it's coal country. Yep. And mountains, great way of view blocks. Simply put, you want to block your scenery. Oh, God, I even had that on. You want to make your layout feel larger. One option is to do view blocks, but another is, well, view blocks is in like you could put a backdrop between the two, and you might be doing that if you were to say want to do cities or something along those lines. But we're just going to go with a mountain here. And you see just that basic mountain? And remember, this is N scale, so these are going to be itty-bitty trades. Even that little molehill is going to really separate those two very nicely. You have to be careful around it, because I'm going to show you the trick we're going to employ. This is a pretty cool trick. I need some votes on where we're placing that station, so are we putting the station on the straightaway, or are we putting it on the curve? Your votes matter. Now, let's employ the trick. I'm going to have to... but you'll get to see the start of it. And I think it's pretty cool. So, rather than just having conventional wisdom, shall we say, would dictate that the way that you would build this but I could also lower it. Conventional wisdom would suggest that if you're building a loop, that this would just be part of your main. But you'll notice we've built the main through the coal mine. And the reason we've done that is because it's a way of getting in another industry. So you'll recall a couple of months ago when we were playing with the Virginian railway layout, that one of the things we saw is how the more variety of mines that you have when you're modeling a coal hauler, the more switching you have to do with assembling and breaking down trains and so on. And that's the philosophy that we're employing here. So rather than just having 2 mines, we get to have 3. So our main line basically ends for all intents and purposes here. And this in and of itself is a branch. It continues so that we could do loop-de-loop-de fun, which is great. But it also, for play purposes, serves as a mine. We're going to see how that comes into play, pun partially, later in the stream when we actually start playing with the thing. So, as a result of that, our mine becomes a tunnel portal, which I think is a really brilliant idea. And I can say it's brilliant because I didn't design it. This is Daniel Bourque's mastery of layout design at work. I'm merely bringing his idea to life. Because this is a really good idea. I mean, look at this. So, you know, it looks gray because we're not yet to the part of painting the terrain. But you can see that it serves, like, there's ways in which you can convey a sense of depth as if what you saw continued on, even though it doesn't. That's the brilliance of the design. And for me, something that I've learned in my own layout building is, if I can have roundy, I want to have roundy. Wait, why am I building a mountain? There we go. For me, now granted, the engine terminal layout, which I built last time, that is, of course, going to be just a shelf layout, because I just don't have the room to turn that kind of power. But where possible, I want my layouts to allow me to run my trains in circles, because there are just those times when you want to run your train in circles, and I think that's a good thing to. It's good to know what you want. You may feel differently, and that's great. And it's good to know if you're comfortable with the idea that you're building a layout where it's always going to be out and back. More power to you. Then you know what you want, and that's always what's most important. At the end of the day, all of this boils down to what is most important for you. And I think for me, I'm always going to want some degree of being able to run my train in circles. There's times when I want to get into it with the switching, and other times I just want to watch the train go. But I find that with Greenfield Village. It's interesting because when I designed it, I'm thinking, well, I don't know if I'm going to want to do roundy all the time, and so I have these sidings to be able to switch cars, bring the locomotive out of the roundhouse. But I've come to learn that actually these days, when I'm playing with it, I more often than not just let the train in circles. So, things you learn along the way. I've seen the straight station votes getting the win from Jordan and Dakota. So I think that's the way we're going to go with it. When we get to that scene. We're going to do the rest of our landscaping now just because, well, and then we'll get to terrain painting and super detailing of that good stuff. I just feel like forming the landscape feels like a good basis. We might as well while we are. Oh, that's that might void the warranty. Let us set those track heights to 0, shall we? Just so that we don't have a roller coaster of a time when it comes to playtest. Oh, not what I meant to do. I meant to do a 0 line height, opposed to gradient. So there we go. Okay. Now that's fixed. Now we can train up once again. Raise up. Again, 6 by 4 feet. Not a ton of space, but just enough to keep you going. And maybe that's all you have. And you make the most with what you've got. I'll tell you what. We're gonna, a little bit. We're going to take a look at this Broadway Limited T1 in action, and you're going to see why. I was playing with this. I'm like, man, this locomotive could not convert me to engage as like that's all I'm going to do, but it could get me to make my next layout project an N scale one as opposed to the engine terminal. I couldn't make the space where actually, speaking of how you can make an HO track plan N scale, I was really tempted to build the Virginian Railway as an N scale track plan. I was very tempted. And ultimately, I don't have enough space in this office. It would not fit. So, and not going to N scale just yet. But someday, with more space, I could be tempted. Not what I want to do. Kind of, I like the idea. Ooh, you know what? No, I can't do that. I was gonna say it'd be so cool to put the road under the track, but then that would mess with the center below. So that has to be a grade crossing. I could make the road go over the track, but I think we're just gonna do grade crossing. That feels like the way we're gonna go with this. So let's go with this height. Use that as our base for height around here-ish. But I do like the idea of the road being lower than the track. That looks cool. And I could change my mind on that. I could try it the other way around. I mean, it'd be hard to make the road go up and down for the track that quickly, but not impossible. Okay, and then I just want to raise all this terrain up to that height, and I want to put my... Well, let's put in the mountain first. So, what I'm going to do... So... Yep. So... And... There are other ways we could use this space. And I'm tempted to do something else here besides yet more mountains. But... I don't know. For now, mountains seems right. Maybe not that tall. Although, tall does... Well, but we're going to have trees. So... Play around with that. Main goal is just... I want each side of this to feel... completely removed from the other side. I want every scene to be maximized in such a minimal amount. So let me raise the track up to, or not the track. What? Track set. Oh, because the line got. Okay, that makes sense. Then lower the mine. So, yep. And then use the line height tool to raise the range track like so. Which I could also do for the road there. Hopefully it won't mess anything up. Oops, not what I wanted. Although I can make it do here and then that. I'll manually adjust that. Out. So just here and section up. And there we have it. Our basic terrain sculpting done. I will have to sculpt it in a moment. But in terms of mountains, we have mountains. We have individual scenes. Oh, I should put... Okay. Oop. Not that one. But that works. I am digging this. I don't know about you guys. You can tell me if you're digging it or not. Hello, it's Trains time, and Christine, you're root building. Perfect. Great time for a root build. So, something looks a little buried there. Okay, well, if that's not going to be a station, maybe it'll be a gas station. I like the idea that this is the town, like the downtown, and where the houses would be and so forth are off the way a bit. Let's see what we've got as far as gas station models. I know there's one I really like having. Yeah, I'm always a fan of this one. So we'll move the general store down a wee bit, and we'll have a gas station here. Or do I want to switch those two? Yeah, I like having the general store closer to the tracks. The gas station a little bit further away. I could see being the other way around, because then you get to add all the little details there, but I just like the idea that the general store closer to the tracks. Move our terrain to that height. There we go. Yep. Oh, I love that. See, this is what you get when you previs stuff, as opposed to just seeing it on paper. I love this. I love the way that we've got this valley going on with the train coming through the center. Like, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. I love that so much. Okay, that is great. So we're gonna put the road there. Like, oh, yes. And this is the thing, you know, at previs it doesn't have to be about completing the layout. I mean, we are going to complete it tonight. But it doesn't have to be about that. It can be about just getting your buildings and your basic terrain contouring, just to get a feel for what you're building. So you could take this and be like, I have what I need to know. I can still play test it. Like, we could run it. And you're good to go. Now, we're going to go further. We're going to detail this sucker. But we could just stop here and say that's that. And that would be perfectly fine. Every route builder has their style and preferences. To me, it's like, well, this is a good point of time to mention that I do take commissions. So if you like what you're seeing on the live stream, you're like, hey, that guy seems to know what he's doing. I'd like him to help me to design my layout, whether that be doing the actual track plan design or just the pre-visualization. I'm more than happy to help you bring your vision to life. But, so if you commission me, I'm more than happy to just do this level of detailing, like just the track, the grades. Heck, we wouldn't even have to do the buildings if you don't want that. If you want the scenery in place so you get a little bit more of a feel for it, we can do that as well. I work with your budget, whatever you need, because I want to help you to bring your layout to life. So, with that, got, figure out how to, yes, okay. So we're going to build the river now, because that's the last bit of terrain sculpting. Then I feel like, okay, then we can get into building the actual. We've got a river going about, let's make it about yay, and we'll increase it a wee bit, and go like that. So having the river in place does mean that we don't get to separate these two bridges. That is a downside, although I would say we could probably put enough trees that are kind of growing over the river to hide it, camouflage that. You could just have the mountain go all the way to the edge so you can't really see the inside of the curve, but I like the idea of having a river, so that's what we're gonna do. Then we're gonna ease it on the sides here so that this track really feels like it's high on an embankment. Like so. Oh, that is just so gorgeous. That. These that down. I'm gonna have to work that out with the edge fascia, but for tonight we'll just as it is. So on now. Oh, that makes me happy. Let's get this lowered down since we're side of it. Yeah. Okay. I know what other they are. Just to get a little bit of variety, so that we're not using the same one. We'll use something slightly different for that one. If I can, of course, remember. Might be. Yep, there we are. Maybe I'll do that one instead. Just so we have a little bit of... Because I don't like seeing the two. This works okay. And it kind of has to because I don't have any 3-track lines. So I'm going to keep that thing. Fill that in. Back. In the long run, I'll probably put loading points there so that they work with the mine. But for tonight, I just want to make sure we get through all this. That's only a 1-track load, come to think of it. Whatever have coal loaders. Don't really have another 2-track option somewhere. See, this is what I mean. It's like this is a cool structure. It's also kind of big. Like if I put it there, it's gonna. Maybe I can vary that. Maybe I can make that cut because I do like this one better as. And that actually does work. I thought it'd look a little bit too modern, but you know, I actually think that looks pretty cool. Yeah. I like it. Okay. It stays. And then we'll put trees there so that you can't really hide. I like a good challenge. And we tracks. And move those tracks. Here. Raise them up. And then maybe we'll start with this as our first. Oh. Hold it back. And on this line point, straighten that. Move that here. And then I'll probably just quite get it look right on it. There we go. That works for me, and then just straighten that out. Then and then unbury that track. Fair enough. Okay, so set that to height of 0. Apply that height here. Go. Now, I could, if I wanted to be creative, I could put a tunnel there. I like that. Like, just a little short tunnel. Like, there's examples of it. I'm thinking of one on the LNN, where there's, like, this really tiny little tunnel. But just that way, then, rather than, oh, I can see all the way back to here, we can have that extra view block. And it helps to really separate those two scenes. I like that. Now, will it look a little weird? Well, let's see. Do I want to use that? I think I want to use my... Or is it concrete? That's the one. Okay. This tunnel, and it'll go about... So what do we think? Do we think it looks a little goofy having the tunnel right next to the coal mine? Maybe it does. No, I'm torn on this one. I kind of like the idea of having a rock cut too. I think I'm gonna leave it. Partially on the idea that I might need that for coupling cars. So we're gonna leave it. Let's see. The spy says either use Gaupo's or Dave Snow's houses. Let's see. Gaupo houses. I think I'd leave it. Sure. Look at my shopping list. Gaupo's houses look like. Gaupo. I like his CNO building, so maybe that will go on those houses. House. Oh, I see. Okay. House design for you. As opposed to these. I mean, I see why you'd recommend that. I mean, that is snazzy. But I like this style of house more. And these all have tanks behind them, so yeah, not gonna quite work. But thanks for the suggestion. Let us put some caboose into. Actually, bulk replace. One of the other benefits of Trainsy, I just love being able to bulk replace. We're gonna bulk replace this generic switch lever. No, not random. Bulk replace. Place switch lever with the ground throws, which not quite the right scale for this because it's technically N, but I like how they look. And I'm biased. In this case, I am biased because I made these 3D models, but I'm allowed to. So, terrain painting. Let's just go with a basic dark grass. That feels like the way to establish this, and then we'll add in some bits of dirt and mud and that kind of thing. Let's see how I like that. As a highlight, it might be okay. As a pattern, it's repetitive. I'm gonna put it out here though. Or no, I don't have to. I'll just put in the pick list and then grab it later, so I don't have to remember what it is. Let's see. Grass and soil. Yeah, that seems like a decent base. We'll put down this as our base through this side. And do I want to get the mountain as a whole? Yeah. I mean, we'll probably use this kind of as the basis throughout and then do highlights off of that. So this is our base coat. It looks very plain and very boring, and we are very much going to fix that in the full room. But might as well get it to out. Then let's do some other highlights of colors just to make things interesting. We'll add a little bit of patchier grass close to the houses. That just there. I'm gonna need a dirt. I'm gonna need to match the ballast. There is a matching ballast. Or no, there isn't because I built it with. Well, we'll get close enough. I might change the track. That's another thing I can. We'll put the ballast down. I think I want this to be on the nicer side, though I might mix in some degree of dirt and so forth. Definitely gonna mix in coal around the mine. Here, just following the road. much. Going along here. There. Going and then charcoal. Of course, there's going to be lots of coal just having fallen around this mine. Really want to give that darker edge. That looks good. Realizing from the light, I probably somewhat. No, I like the way I built it. I'm glad I did what I did. Yay for liking what I did after the fact. As I find on how to orient them. What I'm talking to myself and saying is that Train Z goes by directional light, so the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and there's really no way to have like a universal light, which is great for realism, but it's not so great for a layout where sometimes you want flat artificial lighting. Well, not artificial, but you want it to be flat. You want it to be even. You can't always get that effect in Train Z, so you have to make these decisions about where you're putting the, how you're orienting the layout so that it goes light and light. Few accents of fast. I need to go back here and add the ballast, but we're gonna focus mainly on this scene here. And so one more, I think one more grass highlight, like this one. Yeah, a little bit of darkness. As Bob Ross would say, that dark. Why is the light doesn't stand out? Oh man, I'll tell you what, guys. When you're not watching me on Thursdays, you gotta be watching Bob Ross on Friday through Monday. His YouTube channel does these weekend live streams, and I love watching. I mean, it's not even watching him. Maybe it's like what I don't know how you guys watch me. Maybe I'm just a background entertainment for you, and that's fine. But that's what he is for me. It's like I'll just have him on the background while I'm trains building or layout building. And just listening to his voice, soothing demeanor. It's really nice. I don't know if I'm soothing enough, but that's what I needed to do. I don't know if I have a smoothing. I don't know if I have a smoothing demeanor. He says right before shouting. That's what I want to do. Oh, you guys are awesome. Jordan Freeman modeling Eagle River. Main gripe with the switch stands. Well, that's the benefit of Train Z, is that it's so easy to modify routes and do something that makes you a little bit happier. That really is the goal, is make yourself happy. If you're not making yourself happy with this sim, then try a different. Okay, so we're putting this kind of in a valley, which I like. I like this. I like this better than the tunnel. I like the idea that there's this rock that they had to clear to get to the second mine. So you can still see the mines together. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. But that does create a little bit of separation. Let's get some trees up here. I want to get some trees and really separate these two teams. Probably gonna end up putting some grass down too, but let's start with our good old favorites, the STRMMs. We're gonna go with a mixture of deciduous. Want some of those good Yazans. Ooh, season. I hadn't even really thought about season. Do I just want to go with an ordinary summer on this? I want to do fall. Don't do a lot of fall, so we're gonna change. I have to get to what my season. We're gonna change the October. I think that it's nice to do something different. I feel like we do a lot of summer routes, but here we don't have to worry about the backdrop. We're gonna do fall. So we're gonna use. Or is it the winter? Trees. I think these aren't seasons. Pick list. Oh, winter assets. There we go. Okay. So, if I put down... Yep. There we go. That elms it. But maybe a few of them wouldn't be. To give a little bit of popping color. I like that. Mostly I want them to be... We'll put down some furs as well. Just a few. I don't want too many. Some of those seem tall. We'll want bushes, but I want to get... more yellow. I need some red. This red? Yellow. Although I do like that shade of yellow, so I'll probably couple that. And I like the size of the tree. Not all trees need to be super tall and super big. Some can be a little bit more modest in approach. And then... Now, I need some red. I need some... I mean, that's kind of an interesting yellow-green. I'll put a couple of those. Okay, for some really tall trees. That'll be handy over here. I'll put one of them. Oops. Are the red trees? Where have... They're all yellow. And all for having some yellow trees, but we need some reds. Okay, there we go. A little bit of orange. I mean, it's still probably a bit too shade of an orange. I wish there were more subdued colors. There are a lot of really bright seasonal trees. That, I can do that. Especially if you use them as sort of shaping with the mountain. I can do it. Just to do something. I think, you know, we're getting into, well, here in Central Virginia, we're getting into summer very quickly, and I it's a bit hot. I want to be reminded of days that are a little bit cool. Sometimes it's a good thing. I feel like I can put on my sweater. I like that. I think we're getting a different look from that. Because that was one thing, is like, we did Virginian recently, and I didn't want this to be a clone of that. And I think that by changing the season on this, it's not going to be a clone, and I like that. Okay, we've got a lot of color. Now we need a little bit more regular. Oh, my audio's low. Sorry about that, Mike. Let me see if I can fix that quickly without throwing everything else into chaos. Yeah, if ever my audio's off, please let me know. So settings on that one. And I will change that for you. Up, down. And we go to mic settings here. And the levels. How about now? Is this better? Maybe I'll give it a few points. There. Okay, that looks more like where it should be. So thank you for the heads up on that, Mike. Okay, glad to hear that that's better. Let's go with some regular STRMM trees, so that not everything is super colored. Oh, and I forgot we had these autumn bushes and so forth, too. Yeah, we'll definitely do some detailing with bushes and the like in a minute. But let's add some more regular trees. Just regular colors, just regular standard issue green trees. Just so that it's not all this overwhelming color. You like color, but the color has meaning when it has accent. It's all about balancing these various forces at play. But of course you do you. And you do your layout. Maybe you want to do it more dead of winter. That'd be temptation. I'd almost be tempted to do it kind of like the NNW in the 50s layout, which you can get on greattrainlayouts.com. Sometimes that is a temptation. to do, or close to winter. I read this great article by Gary Hoover, who created that layout. The article was in Model Railroad Planning. He was talking about the fact that the advantage with modeling a snowfall that isn't super recent is then you could keep your tracks clear of snow, so that you don't have to worry about having snow and it gunking up your drive mechanisms on your locomotive and whatnot. I thought that was a really good idea. I really like the special issues that Model Railroad puts out. I like the Great Model Railroads and the Model Railroad planning issues they put out each year. I think those are really useful ones. I feel like I'm getting lost for the forest through the trees. I do want to get on to the next side of things, but let's put some more. Let's just put a bunch of basic green trees down. I've got a bunch of Yazans. Let's do some. Oh, the cash. Yes, I love this tree. This tree in particular, I really love. It's a nice, really muted color. It's a great sort of background tree. Like, I could have a bunch of these and they're not going to stick out because they're not demanding the attention of you. They're just a good sort of, I can plop this down and use this as my base. And you don't think about it kind of tree. Doesn't demand attention. And right now, I need a tree that's not going to demand attention. It's just going to nicely do its thing in the backdrop. I'm going to need more trees here, but I would also say that, yeah. And there we go. I like how that's turned out a lot. Oof. That makes me happy. So, we're scenically divided, and that is a scene. I'll probably need to put the black fascia there just to hide that transition to landscape. Although I could actually just maybe paint that black, and maybe that'll do the trick. We'll use that coal texture. We'll just put it over here. Yeah, makes it less obvious. Yes, Mike, I agree. Gary Hoover is amazing. He was super helpful too. I really liked going to him with. So when I started building this layout, obviously, so I was inspired to build this layout from the April 2020 model Railroader. And obviously, with these articles, you don't see everything in the layout. So I went to him like, "Hey, so I kind of am building your layout. Could you share some photos with me of what your layout looks like?" Super cool guy, like, was not phased by that request, and he supplied all sorts of photos and asked him questions about how he ran his sessions. So yeah, nothing but praise for the man. Interesting to see what he's doing with his new layout. John, the three white houses remind me of the company houses at Cassina Railroad. Well, it's funny you should say that because they are the Cass Company houses. That is deliberate on the part of, I think these are Ben Dorsey models. So there's a reason they look like Cass models, because they're supposed to be. We'll lower that down. I like the idea of having, this may be too fancy for a company house, but imagine having if we build a deck or a landing out here that goes out into the river, that could be fun. We're going to do, well, actually, let's take a minute, since we've done this scene, to appreciate how this comes. Let's do grass. Let us do IDS grass. Let's get the grass down. And then we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to work on the other side of the layout. Ooh, that looks nice. I like how that looks. I'm going to put down a lot of this grass. Just to give that track some additional definition and really make it feel like we're in the middle of the woods. Like so. And from the ground level, that looks like... Yeah, I might need some green highlights there. Almost looks like a wheat field. Oh, because I used the fall ones. Well, that is kind of fitting, but let's do a little bit of green highlight just so that it's not too uniform. Yeah, like so, and just really kind of randomize it. There we go. That's looking better on that front. Not going to worry about that side just yet. Let's put down some grass for here, just because I feel like that's going to look better. If I put grass down here, like so. I need that to be a green one. It looks weird as the brown. I like these IDS grasses, but I do find them a little bit too blue. But that matters less because this is in shadow, so we'll go with that. Okay, so... And maybe I need some bushes. That's what I need. Let's see. I can put this shrub. Yeah, I think that'll make it look a little bit more natural too. So we'll put some bushes in place. Every day, I'm thinking all day about what's waiting in the bushes for us. If you can name that reference, you get a brownie point. I'm digging that. And let's put some bushes in here, too. We'll vary the height of them, just so they're not all super tall. I'll probably need to come back and add one more type of bush in here. But, oh, I'm loving this so much. This is doing it for me. I like when a thing does it for me. Oop, that's the same kind of bush. Let's do about this one. There we go. That looks right. Yep. And I think we should maybe put a couple of trees here, just because then it feels like... I should also put rocks. Yeah, I want that to be rock. So we'll put a couple of rocks there and some trees. I think that'll look good. Nope, that's not the ones I wanted. I wanted ultra rocks, I think. There we go. Oof. Not quite that. I mean, they don't call them ultra rocks for nothing, I suppose. There we go. Oof. I mean, it looks cool. It just doesn't quite logistically work. I mean, yeah, I could have it kind of carved out, but that feels maybe a little too cartoony. I mean, it's interesting, but a little too interesting. I don't want it to be that distinct. This is also kind of... I think this one has a nice size to it. And then if I bring it down like so... Yeah, that does it. Okay. This is going to be interesting to figure out when I have to reconcile how to do the staging. I'll show you a little bit of how we're going to do the staging, but there's going to be, once we get over to that part of the layout, that's going to be a little tricky. Anyway, got some rock here. I want some smaller rocks to place here, like so. Like there and there. That feels nice. Then let's do a little bit more of the... I mean, I could try to match it with the texture. Does some funky things with the PBR, but I don't think that'll actually be noticeable here. And then I don't want that to stick out quite as much. That'll work for me. And I need to make sure that clearance works there. I don't like that first edge, so I'm going to add a little bit of grass to hide that edge. Like, but I want the darker grass. Or no, bushes. Bushes. We'll do bushes there. Just softens that edge, and that's true in a real railroad as well, or a real layout as well as these digital layouts. And then I wanted a couple of trees here, and then I think we're going to take we're going to take a look at the N scale side of things, which is to say you're going to get to see the Broadway Limited T1 in action. Oof. Maybe a little too big. I mean, it's visually impressive. Isn't bad, but sometimes I kind of want a little subdued. Like, that's... honestly, maybe just a nice... Yeah. It still feels too demanding. I want something kind of small and modest. How about this? Too small. I need... There we are. Works for me. I'm liking how that looks a lot. Let's put some crossing signs down, and then we'll take a look at the actual N scale. Broadway Limited. Let's see. Broadway Limited Reading T1 that we're building this whole layout around conceptually. I mean, these are B&M, but it work for Reading. Well, we don't have 2 tracks here. Do I like that enough? Yeah. Sure. We'll go with that. They're weathered enough. Okay. And there is a scene. Although, let's just add a couple of bushes to the foreground to kind of soften that edge. I like that. I like that a lot. I do think maybe a couple bushes here. Just because if it's... feels like it's just nothing but ballast, it's going to be a little boring. I might need another type of bush to put there. There we are. Ooh, yeah, and that gives us a little color variety. And actually, I might put a couple of those in the field here. I'm getting too enamored with this scene. We're going to get to the other parts of the, like, what kind of time do I have to do those? But I am very happy with that. Hopefully you like it too. Greetings from Disney World. Oh, glad you could join us from Disney World. Cinders, base. I think you're right. Let me see what I got as far as cinders. Don't have anything. But we'll go with the PBR coal and go with a lighter shade. And oh, I'm in the wrong thing. Let's see if I have cinders here. I do have 1 cinders. Yep, PBR cinder ballast. Okay. Let's do a little bit more of that kind of thing. I agree with you. That looks a little bit more like what we probably need to be doing for this. Okay. So, with that good enough for now, we are going to take a look at the Broadway Limited T1. So, stay tuned here on Great Train Layouts Live. Well, stay tuned as soon as I can figure out how to mute my music. Problem with having too many windows open is there's too many things that you could go, oh, that's where that's supposed to go. And... okay, now I've muted my music. So now we're going to take a look at the Reading T1 courtesy of our sponsor, which is Broadway Limited Imports. Here's a quick look at some of the latest N-scale offerings from Broadway Limited. Sorry, guys. That's playing it a lot bigger than I thought I would. The challenge of these things. Well, stay tuned, and then we'll be right back. Here's a quick look at some of the latest N-scale offerings from Broadway Limited Imports. First up, we have the Reading T1, seen here in its Reading Rambles paint scheme. It runs smoothly, even at slow speeds, and the detail... Sorry guys, I know I keep restarting the video, but now it's working, so thank you for bearing with me. And now I present the Broadway Limited T1 in action. Here's a quick look at some of the latest N-scale offerings from Broadway Limited Imports. First up, we have the Reading T1, seen here in its Reading Rambles paint scheme. It runs smoothly, even at slow speeds, and the detail on this is quite nice. Both the headlight and tender light function based on the direction of travel. For such a small locomotive, it packs a sonic punch and features a myriad of sound effects. Some of the latest freight car offerings include these cryogenic tank cars for transporting liquid oxygen, argon, nitrogen, hydrogen, or helium. The separately applied details help these cars pop for a modern freight train. Finally, we have these stock cars, seen here in Pennsylvania Railroad and Santa Fe paint schemes. These produce sounds while traveling, and a magnetic wand is included to adjust the sensitivity and volume of the sounds. They are a lot of fun and definitely serve as a conversation piece when showing off your layout. And we're back. So what'd you guys think of that T1, courtesy of Broadway Limited Imports? I love that model. They did a really great job on it, and it was really neat filming it and then being able to see on my large 4K monitor this model that looks bigger on the monitor than it does in real life, and just how much detail they packed into it. Looking at it, it looks like an HO model or even an O-scale model. I was really impressed by what they were able to do for N-scale. It's a really nice model that they sent, so I appreciate them sending me one to try out. I think it's a really cool thing. Time to move on because I want to make sure we have a good amount of time to play test this. So we're going to build this girder bridge for a very tight radius. Tight-ish. We're going to make sure our clearances are good so it doesn't look goofy when the T1 goes over it, and then I'm going to put some layer of ballast down underneath it just to give it a base. Yeah. So I'm going to move the T1 from its resting point over here to here and just check that clearance, and yep, that works. I think that's another way that works of sort of hiding how tight the curve is. Thanks for bearing with me also as I try to get my... I don't do a lot of these video interludes, so I realized I had the video too large, so thanks for your patience on that. Millennial Modeler, you own a variants of each magnetic animal stock cars. They are a crowd pleaser and very user-friendly. Yeah, I thought they were so fun. And you're planning to ride the Rambler this Saturday, James. Well, have fun with that. So, let us... I think is what I'm going to want to... Too wide. That's an embankment one. I can make that one work. Just so that we have something. Oh, I know what I want. I think. Yes, that's the one I want. Here we go. Nice darker ballast that we can have. So that our bridge has fill to it. There we go. Yeah, I should probably line that up. It looks a little weird how it's situated at the moment. Maybe shorten that. Put it over here. There we are. That looks good. Good enough. A lot of different ways you could build your girder bridge, but I'm happy with that. Oh, need to move this end of things. I have a feeling we're getting a cat cameo. Who's ready for a cat cameo? Luca, baby. You're on candid camera, buddy. Oh, you're such a good boy. Yeah. Good kitty boy. Okay, so that's our bridge. Let's get our river into place. Which we're going to make a spline, because I think that's going to be easier. Then, well, can I do actual water? Let's see if I can do actual water. I always hate that it doesn't stop where I want it to stop. But, yeah, it doesn't quite line up as it needs to for that. We'll just go with a spline for this time around. The CL River 1, it's an active. And I don't need my river to be super wide. I think that'll do the trick nicely. And this is going to be the border of our layout. Yep, here. I'd rather have it closer to track them further away. So we'll make this move there. And we need to get it all the right height, which should be about here. And then we're going to apply that height to the other pieces of the spline. And then just line this one up straight with the edge, like so. And then I'm going to lower the terrain here so that it goes to the edge with it, like so. And then that's good. That will work for now. I'll create a little landing out here. I'm going to worry about that later. I'd love to do that now, but we do have to get to the other parts of the layout. So, mud. I'm going to add a mud texture along the banks of this river, like so, just to give it a little bit more definition. And then I'll need to lower the terrain around here. Mind you, I don't mind having gone a little crazy on the scenery on this side because we're going to be switching that side fairly heavily, so I do want it to look nice. I like this. This is a nice scene. I like how this looks. And then probably place a tree here, just to have something in this corner. Lower that guy a little bit. And then maybe some of those bushes from over here that I was enjoying so much. And we'll refine that. Probably off stream. Getting the broad strokes of what we want here. Okay. So we should go back to having more of a mix of cinders in the ballast here, because this is part of the branch. But then once we cross to here, this is going to be a little bit more mainline. So well, let's vary the ground texture a bit like we did over here. Just to kind of get a little bit of variety of color. We'll use this as our base going all the way into here. Like so. We're going to do a very rough job of getting things in, just to make sure we have enough of the ground cover taken care of. Let me see about using this one. Oh, that's the one we have been using. I'm trying to use that one, yeah. Just to get a little bit of brighter color in the mix here. So we'll kind of wave that around and make it super randomized throughout here. And then we'll add some more of this dark dirt through here. I like that. Like so. Fill in that gap there. And then we'll use a lighter, well, let's get the ballast in for the track on here. This could be a little bit nicer quality ballast. We'll ballast even up to this branch, although we'll put that as kind of a cindery ballast once we get to that part of the show. But the way I like doing my terrain paint in Train Z, I like to establish what the base colors are, and then I build off of those, layering just like painting. Okay, so we've got that in place there. We'll kind of have it going along the road too, because I think it's a nice transition color. So I'm gonna have this be really more like a dirt. This little lot here, like so, where the transloading is. Give it a little bit of variety. We'll put a little bit of dirt around the heater shed too. Do some quick grass work around here. I think that'd be okay. Do I want it to be this dry fall grass, or maybe something a little brighter? I like the little brighter look, actually. Because I can darken it with the bushes, and I think that's a better way to go about it. So, some more bushes, like so. I'll height adjust them later. Do with this field. Interesting I said field. I didn't mean to say... Do I... I don't want to do a field. I like that view block too much. So I think we'll just keep it for what it is. We'll maybe add a little bit more to the mountainside. Although I could do the kind of company town thing here, so we could have houses going along this way. But I like the idea of creating a sense of distance. And if we create trees, that's going to further separate the two elements of it. And I think I like that approach more. So I'm going to go with a big grass spread here in a general sense. Not sure yet what I want to do with that. That's probably just going to be raised up a little bit. Like so. Yeah. Like that. I suppose I could put like a little kind of swampy area there, something like that. Also what I could do for here, but not quite feeling that there. Let's add some of these cashtans, the kind of basic, this separator, dark, nice, kind of hiding tree. And then let's put that tunnel portal there. I like the idea of putting that concrete tunnel portal here, like so. Lower that a little bit, need not be too tall. And then that's the point at which the terrain will come up and hide into the mountain. So I'm going to have to carefully craft that into shape, but that works okay. And then we'll lower the portal into place. And then I'm going to put a bit of fascia, a 10-meter version, in to kind of hide the fact that the terrain digs into it. So we put that there, lower it down like so, and boom, there's our tunnel portal. We'll hide it into the landscape a little bit more with some shrubs and the like, but I like what this is giving us. Hopefully you do too. I always appreciate having your company on these Thursday evenings to visualize and try these ideas out. They're fun. It's a lot of fun to build these layouts with you. Of course, if you want to support the work that I do and get early access to these train layouts, go over to greattrainlayoutslive. You could go to greattrainlayoutslive.com and download them. But you could also go to patreon.com/theroundhouse. You'll be supporting the Roundhouse podcast, which is one of the various things that I do. But you will also be going to support Great Train Layouts Live. And for as little as $1 a month, you're getting early access to the layouts that I build. And this month, the layout that you're getting early access to is... I'm going off of memory off of this. I'm going to have to pull up Patreon. I uploaded it a couple of weeks ago. You'll get early access to my next podcast episode, which, funnily enough, is with Curtis Koch, the director of marketing and social media for Broadway Limited Imports. But you'll also get early access to the Metro Mountain Terminal, which we built a couple of months ago. So that's something that you can check out. So I appreciate those of you who are supporting me on Patreon. It means a lot to have your support for what we do here. Yes, Cat. Cat is now on my lap. He is very happy boy. Okay, so I like how this looks. It needs a rock wall spline, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna do a rock spline like maybe like this one. I like the grass on top of it too. Yeah, we'll need to vary it a little bit with some added rocks, because otherwise it looks kind of flat. But in terms of giving a basic cut shape to work with, it's good. I like that about it. And I have to build it this way. Adjust the height like so. Ooh, that disappeared nicely. And then we'll add some CL rocks into the mix. Like so. And just kind of randomize them like that. Yep, that works for me. And then maybe another one over here. Kind of get that a little bit of breaking up. I want to move some of those trees over too, because then they could kind of act like vines. Give us a little bit more space. Some of these, but the smaller ones, I think. Like, yeah, like that. I dig that. That makes me happy. I want this valley to be really tight. Ooh. I'm gonna need to adjust that. Okay. Or not. We'll go that route. I want this to feel like it was carved into a valley. So I could just add some more trees, like so, but... I want this to be a steeper mountain. That's right. I want you to look at this and feel like you're looking into, you know, a sort of Jim Thorpe-like area. Really getting into the mountains. Really separating these scenes out. Like right now you can see the gas station from here. I want to change it so that you can't. Because I think then it adds more depth to the scene by doing that. Let's put a couple more of these guys, because these are great separator trees, so we'll put some more like that, like here. Like so. Now we're creating that claustrophobic feel. Like, I like that sense of like we've gone into the mountains. Put some bushes here just to give a little bit more of a sense of a ledge. A little bit more color variety too. Because I don't have Trains 22 yet, which has all the fancy features as far as the HD terrain painting, which is interesting, but it's not as reliable as I'd like it to be yet. So hence why I don't have that. Ooh, that's a nice color tree. I like that there. I don't know how you guys are feeling. I'm feeling good about this. I'm really liking the color variety. I'm liking the feel that we've got of being in the mountains. The railroad that goes through the mountains, not around them. Well, that's the Rio Grande, but that's what just sprung to mind when I thought of that. And we'll add a few of these guys to make the edges transition a little bit better. Now, here's where we're going to do something funky. And it's probably going to reveal... I'm going to have to... yep, I'm going to have to change some things around here. We're going to make the staging visible. Because we could super detail this more. And I probably will off stream. But I want to be able to play with this. And I want to see the staging. And I've spent enough time doing this kind of thing to really know some fun tricks. I'm going to show you when it comes to being able to making multi-level layouts. I mean, Trains does not do full multi-level layouts well, but when it comes to like a wee bit of underground, yeah, you can get away with it, and I'm going to show you how. So, first step, we're going to make sure this entire border is at the same level because I want to make my life easy. I like making my life easy. And make sure this whole thing... Oop, I accidentally raised the terrain around the track, but I don't want to do that. Just to hear what I'm looking to do. Then what we're going to do, we're going to go over to our fascia level. And we're going to put in fascia thin from about... Now I've got to figure out where the edge of my layout is. Oh, I guess it's here. Here to here. That's going to be our visible fascia. And we're going to set it at this height of 7.14. Then I need to raise this terrain up so it's going to work across the board like so. Because I do think that there is something to be said for being able to pre-visualize how your staging looks, especially if you have multiple layers. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to add I'm going to add the full thin layer across here. I think I want that part to be hidden just to make my life here. Nope, not what I wanted to do. I want to go from here to about here, like so. And we're going to adjust it till it matches the height of the other fascia, which is negative 1.92. We're going to put that here as well. And just have it in line there. I'm going to finesse it later, but we're just going to get the basic elements of this in. Then I need to put down... That's probably going to be too thick, but that's okay. Then I need to create my dig holes. Dig hole. And... oh, I should have put that on the fascia layer. That'll be okay. But we are going to go to the dig hole layer for the dig holes. And we're going to do... we'll do 4 by 8. So, here. 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 And here. And now we can see underneath the layout. We also have to do a little bit of finessing with that road because dig holes do funky things to splines that I wish they did not do. We have to raise this up, and then I need to create a second point and raise that up, like so. I can lower that a bit, and then I just need to lower that a bit, which I think I can do. That's not too bad. I could also pave this road, give it a little bit of variety from the other one. But since it's what I have in here now, it's what I'm going to leave. So, I need to... some funky things going on with the train there. So I think I'm going to need to raise this up a bit more so it's not visible underground. Because I want it to look nice underground. Like, there's going to be some funky elements to it. Technically, I should probably have a spline that covers the bottom there. But I'm going to make it work for what I've got. And we'll just level that to, like, yay, thereabouts. Oh, that's not leveling. Using the height and the sensitivity to there, and then we'll... Good enough for viewing. Like, yes, it won't stand up to scrutiny if you're looking at your staging like this, but from the top down, it will work. Last, we're going to do... I think it's the 40 meter... Where is it? 80 meter. No, it's 80 meter. I might change that in the long run. But I just want to have some shelf down to kind of demonstrate what I want to demonstrate. So we're going to put this at the height of 0, so it doesn't do funky things on us. We're going to move it over to... Oh, actually, I think it's going to do what I want, which is awesome. We're going to put it to about here. I can actually move it a little farther back, like so. Oh, except I'm putting on the dig hole layer, so I'm going to change it to the facial layer, which I'm going to need to unlock now to be able to do stuff with. That works. What are my thoughts on the 1970 auto train? I think the auto train is a wonderful piece of underrepresented railroad history. I think it's getting its due. There's a really good video essay on YouTube by Peter Dribble about it. But I think historically it has been really undervalued. I think people just kind of took it at face value and said, oh, it was a failure, it didn't work out. When it's a more nuanced story than that, and there's a lot of love over that train. There's actually a book. Oh, I must have... No, I have the book, but the cat's on my lap, so I'm not going to disturb him to get it up. But there's a great book on the auto train by Doug Riddell. Really great overall history, wonderfully illustrated. If you're interested in the auto train, get that book. Like, that is the book on the 70s auto train, which goes a little bit into the history of Amtrak, how Amtrak picked up the pieces after Auto Train Corp went bankrupt. So, anyway, there you have it. We have our staging. It will not stand up to high scrutiny because there's that. And yes, I could put another layer of... I could put another layer of fascia to block that out, but it's not meant to be overanalyzed. It's meant to be looked at this way. So, there we have it. You have, honest to goodness, double deck layouting, where we can actually see our staging yard for the purpose of being able to play. And speaking of play, we're getting close to that time. Kind of over a bit, but we also started a bit late, so... but we're going to do that shortly. I want to put a couple bushes around there, and probably some dirt as well, to just hide that a little bit. And of course, some of those bushes are going to go on the bottom, because that's what they do, so I need to raise them up, like so. And then I'm going to put some dirt down. BR dirt. Just to make it look a little bit more. Yeah, that's too bright. That looks more right. In fact, I want to use some of that over here. And I probably also want to put some trees over here just because I'm seeing a little bit through that in a way that I don't want to see through that. But that doesn't destroy our ability to look at the basic staging and go, yeah, that looks right. And that makes me happy. Okay. So, anything else I need to... Oh, we should put buffer stops, and we need to set the radiuses as well. Or the radii of the trigger points, because that's always a thing we have to do. Because reasons. Okay, I want the rusty ones. So, all of the stub-in sidings are going to get these. As they should. McLeod, been making it in trains recently, including some revamped diesels, West MTS, MSTS conversions. Oh, good, fun. I've done some MSTS conversions of buildings and the like. We saw some of them a couple months ago with the FJ&G layout that I built. So good. Glad that you're having fun doing those. Okay, I've got my buffers there, buffer there, buffers at the end of these tracks. So I want to get these switches out of the way where they shouldn't be. Because I really want to, once we start playing, just play. And too often it's like, oh, let's play. Oh, crap, I forgot to do X, Y, Z. Let's set the trigger radii so that I don't have to worry about how they switch out. Like so. Appreciate you joining us here tonight on Great Train Layouts Live, where we're building the Pond Creek Reading branch. Okay, I think I've covered all the bases with all the triggers. So, in a nutshell, pending super detailing, admittedly, but as a basic starting point of things, this is the Pond River, or Pond Creek. Creek River, I keep getting words. Pond Creek branch of the Reading. Originally designed by Daniel Bourque for the Norfolk and Western, but we've adapted it for the Reading for Broadway Limited's T1 model. And I like that. That's good enough to play with for now. Obviously, we're going to finesse it. Let's see. I could probably spend the 15 minutes to do a basic fascia covering and so forth. Yeah, because usually you guys don't get to see that part. So we'll do the walls, we'll do the fascia. I think we could fit that in. We might have some weird things to contend with. But tell me what you... I've got some things to finish up. So tell me if you want to see fascia or just go straight to playing with the T1 and doing some switching. While you type your responses, I'm going to get the coal car or our cars set up for the run. Let's see. Definitely going to need a ton of hoppers. Do I want this style? No, I want the style that comes with that. Oh, it's RG, isn't it? Well, we'll put a boxcar there to pick up, just to have something different to do. And we'll need a caboose for our train. Put that in staging. So I want to do a little bit of work on everything. So we're going to have our train coming into the scene. We're going to do a swap of cars at each of the mines. So I think if we come in with, let's say, 8 cars, well, let's see how much space each mine has. That might be a good place to go. There we are. So we can see. Now this mine, of course, has not infinite space, but we'll recall that 2 of the tracks then become our underground staging. So the space for cars is actually very big here. So maybe we'll do... it's a big space, although it's also true that we need to fit our train in the runaround. Well, yes, because we're going to go back the way we came from. So if we come into the scene here, we need to make sure that we don't have more loaded hoppers than we can run around. Because otherwise... Well, okay. So I'm bringing in hoppers. They're on the tail end. They get swapped to this end. But I still need to run around them. I have to run around all the cars at some point. Although I don't have to run around all of them at the same time. Let's just stick with a limit of 5. Let's say... That feels light, though. Is that going to be a real limitation? Like, if I'm bringing in... Oh, and I have 4 cars at a caboose. If I'm bringing in the cars from here, and then I'm swapping them out on the tail end, then they're there, but then I'd have to push them into staging. Interesting. I think that is a limitation. The length of the siding is a limitation because... Okay, so you can fit 6 cars, or 5 cars in a caboose. And basically you have enough room that you can move around that cut of cars and then go back. But you probably don't have enough to work everything because you're going to the mine here. Well, unless the way that you work this mine is that you bring your cut of cars in on one track, bring another cut out. So let's say you have a track of empties, you bring your loads in, and then you push but then you're pushing the empties out, because you have to run around them somewhere. See, this is the kind of brainstorming. Hopefully you find this part exciting where I'm talking to myself. Hello, Luca. Because I'm trying to figure out what my capacity is going to be. Like, I feel like my capacity is going to be 5 cars at a time, plus a caboose, because I need to run around my train. Now, I could run around it by going the whole way around the layout. That is true. And maybe that's sort of the way that you'd want to do it. But there is this run around here, and it makes more sense to use that strategically. Let's set it up because I'm not going to paint because even if I can't fit it, I can at least run around cars that way. So we're going to use the dice. And conveniently, we have 1 die for each mine. So we're going to start by rolling the dice for how many cars we're picking up from each mine. Okay. We've got 5... Wow, the dice wanted me to haul a lot of cars. We've got 5 cars, 5 loaded cars coming from this mine. I'm going to make my life somewhat easy by putting them all on the same track so I don't have to clear them out and then pull them in. So we've got 5 loads here. We've got 6 loads here on this track. 2, 3. And we're going to put this on this track here. We'll get those loaded up. Like so. And then this track here is also getting 6. Here we'll make it a little interesting. We'll make it 3 and 3. So we'll get that set to load. 3 cars. And another 3 cars. Okay, so that's our loads taken care of. Now we need to figure out how many empties we're bringing in. Still somewhat full. 5, 5, 6, and 3. We're bringing in 11 cars. This is going to be interesting. Can this layout handle such long cars, cuts of cars being switched? I think it can. It's just going to be 5, 3. I need 6 more. I should move that back, actually. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that is all of our cars that we are bringing in. So, and they are on the correct track, so they're not going to interfere with the hoppers that are already there. We're going to bring in the T1. Where did I move that T1 to? Or did I delete the T1? Oh, there it is. But actually, I'm going to delete it because I want to match the locomotive that I was playing with in N-Scale. And the N-Scale locomotive I was using was a Reading Rambles one. So, let us pull that out. Reading. And we're going to go Rambles Tender. And we're going to go Rambles Engine. And we're going to rename it. Oh, it's already renumbered for 2102. Perfect. Okay, so we have our T1 number 2102 with 14 empties. And it's going to switch 3 mines. Oh, I should bring in a tank car just to have a little bit of variety. So one of the mines is going to be receiving a tank car with fuel oil. So we've got a tank car for one of the mines. We've got... let me make sure that's coupled. Otherwise, I'm going to take off without my train. And that is 2100. Nope, that's 2100. I'm going to renumber that. 2102. So, we have our train coming in from staging with 14 empties, taking 5, 6, and 3, and bringing all the loads out. We're probably going to have to do runarounds underneath the layout to make this work operationally, and that's okay. Are you ready for some fun? I mean, hopefully this whole thing has been fun, but are you ready for more fun? Let's make sure we save the layout as well. Let's see. Nothing to do but to do it. Let me just look and see if there's anything else I want to change while I'm at it. Maybe so the grid isn't distracting, we'll just bulk replace that with black. Bulk replace. So we're replacing grid with black. There. That way at least it looks nice, and then before I release it, we'll clean it up. And underway we go. So we'll first do a victory lap. We'll just do a full circuit around the layout, because why not? That seems like fun. I'm gonna make sure my switches are aligned the right way as well while I'm at it. So I'm gonna have to do something with those trunks. Actually, I think I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a fascia block right behind the track so we can't see beyond that. That will fix that issue. But I'm not gonna do that now because I don't really need to. Here we are coming into the scene. Oh, I forgot. Hold on. Looks like we had a disconnection and reconnection, guys. Hopefully you're still with me. Last time it was really bad. This time it seems like we're doing okay. So yes, a bit odd seeing this full train just disappear into a mine. But that's the beauty of this design, is that it gives you that flexibility. If you want to be seeing it as a full thing, if you just want to run your train around in circles, you can do that. If you want to be switching cars, you can do that too. So, let's begin our work. Let us begin by taking cars up the branch. So that's going to be 3 empty hoppers going up and picking up 6 loaded hoppers coming back. Hopefully I stopped it in time. Good enough for me. And I'm not doing it this time, but remember how we have that paperwork. If I wanted to really get into the ops this time around, I could do the mine orders, the mine blocks. Could even put a scale on this design. Like, you could have a scale somewhere around here, so that all of your stuff is getting weighed before you take it further east. Probably not the most realistic thing, because your scale would probably be at the yards, but you do you. It's your railroad. We're going to get ourselves set up to go up the mine. Spur. I'm really loving how this looks. Hope you guys are enjoying this as much as it's been fun to build it. Oh, that's interesting. You didn't change the number on it. I thought I changed the number on that engine. There we go. Now I've got the right engine. Quote unquote right engine. I'm really happy with how this looks. And I think great beginner project of a layout, because you don't have a ton of buildings. You do have a number of trees to make, but this isn't a hard build. Not a lot of complex track work. If this was your first layout to build, I mean, 6x4, like, this is smaller than a 4x8. And I think you get more, I mean, granted, we don't hate the 4x8. But I think you get a good amount of operations fit into it. It is mostly mine ops, although you could probably find an excuse to put a freight, like, you could put a freight station here as opposed to a team track. Both allow you a lot of flexibility. And am I bringing it? Yes, I'm bringing these cars on the track that I want. So we're dropping off these 3 empty hoppers. And then we're picking up these 6 loaded hoppers. And we're just going to drop those off here. And it's locked my train because it's going to load one of those hoppers with coal, which is a-okay. Chance to look at your comments. Nothing new at the moment. That's all right. So what do you guys think of this plan, seeing it in the flesh? You're kind of railroading pros, cons of it? I mean, I will say, this is really centered on mine ops. I think you could adapt it to other industries. You could certainly adapt it to other eras. I could see doing modern Norfolk Southern on this. I don't know if you really adapt it for anything other than coal, because it's just really specific to that, especially the way that I mean, I suppose you could make this kind of one of those buildings that you drive into, like a warehousey type building, and it disappears like that. But I like it as a coal mine route, and I think it works as a coal branch route. So we're going to pick up our first cut of coal. And if we're imagining this as N scale, the trains would probably look kind of like that. And I will say, look, it's true that with N scale, it's a more finicky scale and so forth. You definitely want to make sure you're happy with how this runs. But I would say that you get so much in. So this was originally, as I mentioned earlier, designed as a 12 by 8 foot HO scale layout. And I think it works on that front as well. And hey, Broadway Limited has made the Reading T1 in HO. I've put myself in for the folks who are restoring the real 2100. Occasionally, or not auction off, but they raffle off Reading T1s. And I've entered that competition a few times and lost. But I'm supporting good cause. But I mentioned that to say you could do this in HO. It certainly would work for HO as a 12 by 8. But I think as an N scale 6 by 4, man, it's a tiny little thing that does a fair amount for what you've got. Okay, so now we need to pick up that boxcar. So I'm gonna stop ourselves on the hill here. So this might be where you need to have something to hold your cars back if you're gonna have your cut of cars here before to do a pickup and set off. But other than that, I don't think there's any real detriment to having this be on a grade. You're not really going to park cars here for a long term. You know, actually what I am going to put that there, because then that's going to make that fuel car easier to access when I shove that into the coal mine. So if I want to pretend that this isn't a loop, I could run around the cuts of cars in kind of succession. So I would take these hoppers, run around them, then take one of these cuts of hoppers, run around them, and then one of these cuts of hoppers, run around them. That's a bit more time consuming than I want, so I'm just going to run around the layout as a full and pretend we have a longer run around that isn't exactly modeled. But I like the scenes that this creates. This creates some really nice scenes. And I like how the view blocks work. Like when we're in this scene, we are in this scene. And then the same is true when we were over here at the mine. Like this feels completely removed from this, which I like a lot. Okay, we're gonna stop up here. Let's go ahead and pick up these loaded hoppers. We're gonna bring everything over to the mine. And that's the point at which we'll run around all the cars. And then we'll do our switching, and then we'll be able to go back into staging. Yes, John, I agree with you. I think that this could be adapted to a lot of coal roads. Because there's nothing really definitive about this. There's not a scene where it's like, oh, I wouldn't see this on the LNN or Southern or NS. Like, it really is flexible. So I think that it provides a great starting point. And again, it's the kind of layout where if you see Broadway Limited's T1, like I have here, and you go, that looks really cool, I want one of those. But I don't have a layout for it. Well, here's your layout. Oh, don't mouse use it. Nice, Luca. That would not be good. And then a lot of fun you can have with detailing scenes like this, which I'll definitely do before releasing this to you guys. If you go over to greattrainlayouts.com now, the Orford route is available for download. You'll remember that we were building that N-scale layout way back at the end of last year, and that's now available for download. So I encourage you to check that out for free. Christina, so the layout I'm making is fictional. It's 189 feet in HO scale by 81 feet wide. So like 2 by 1 feet, essentially, if I've got my math right. And, for a little layout to support such a big train, like, yes, we're going to have to run around the train over at the other end of things, but we're going to have to run around the train by way of the staging, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with doing it that way. But that's a nice looking train. In fact, if we want to enjoy that for a little bit, we could do an extra lap and then we'll come and do our switching in here. For those occasions when you just want to watch the train going through the scenery. And we will make sure our switches are set over here, because they are the type of thing I would forget. So we're going to bring it in. And truth be told, so this is a stub end siding as modeled. You could have it switch and connect with the other staging tracks here, and then that gives you another way of running around your cars. I love this station. Like, that is a nice scene. With the curve, ooh, I love it. Really happy with that. Okay, so this time we're going to stop here. And you'll see what we do in just a moment. John, you don't have a layout currently, but your dream layout is Southern Railway transition area in Appalachia, possibly based on Saluda, Old Fort Loops, or Murphy Branch. I mean, Southern had a lot of interesting motive power and equipment. You could definitely have a good time with that. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. All of that talking to myself earlier paying off. We are going to disconnect our train here. And then once it comes to a stop, we're going to run the locomotive around back to the other end of our train. So we're pretending as if we had a runaround long enough here, rather than only being limited to this one. And maybe the way one of your operating schemes could be that the mine run that services this mine isn't the same one that services these mines, so that your mine run here is short enough, because you're only going to be running 5 or 6 cars, so it's short enough that you can bring the train in and you can run around the whole thing here and then go up in the other direction. But, I mean, I don't mind taking extra laps with this. It is pretty. I'm really happy with this. I'm glad we did fall too, because I'm just something different. I'm so used to building these summer routes. I don't stop to think, wait a minute, this could be a different scene. Alright, so we're coming up on our train. We could pick up these. I like simplicity. We're going to pick up all of our coal loads, put them onto the caboose, and put them onto another track, and then we'll switch out the empty hoppers and the tank cars. I like that way of doing it. Yay for simplicity of movements. Here we are going through that rock cutscene that we created. Oh, that's fun. And as a layout design, I will say that I think this is something that you could nicely expand on as well. In the sense that if you didn't put this up against a wall, this lends itself to being expanded out this way. So you could do something with that, or even if you are up against a wall along this edge, you could have a branch coming off of this mine here and extending it out this way. I think that it's good to have something small that if you want to expand upon it, you have that ability to do so in the long run. I think it's striking enough too that it appeals in N scale. But again, it's N scale where you don't have to get caught up in the details. I mean, you could do all sorts of micro detailing, but you could just have 3 houses and call it a day. You don't have to go crazy with the detailing to make it make sense. And it's easy to use kit houses. You can use kit Walter's kit coal mines. So it'd be a relatively easy first build. Yes, I'm glad you agree with me on the cut for this, John Overman. I like that. So, I'm going to put all these coal cars together. Once I've done that, we'll take the empties. We've got 6 going for here, 5... well, we've got that empty tank car in the end that's going to go here. Then 5 cars here, 6 cars here. Get our train reassembled and we'll be good. Let's do about like so. There we go. So that's what's nice about this, is that given the round design, it lends it, you can make long coal trains, which one of N-Scale's benefits is that ability to have big long trains in a small space. Because we came in here with 14 cars, we are going to be departing with 17. And it's going to look right and it's going to fit. Honestly, it's like, I haven't driven this. It's like, well, would I build the Virginian in 2x4? Or would I build this in 6x4? I still like that Virginian layout a lot. But the ability to get 3 mines in one layout is, in one space is pretty good. So, both good plans in their own right. I like that Virginian plan a lot. But I like this one a lot too. I think this one, it's different because this one has one more mine. All of the mines are bigger than on the Virginian. And the other advantage I would say is that you go through more of the scenery. Like with the Virginian, you loop the outside, but that inner track is only an out and back. Whereas this one, your out and back is a short little segment, but most of the layout is you're able to enjoy from a loop perspective. I hope this is making sense. I mean, I am nitpicking. I know that I think probably way more about track plans than just about anybody else, and that's okay. Oh, interesting, it loaded one of the cars. I'm like, why is this train not moving? I hope I did not derail. So we're going to pull all of these cars out. Actually, instead of pulling all of them out, I'm going to pull just the loaded cut and the caboose out. We'll put them on the other track, and then we don't have to move this whole gigantic cut. That seems easier. I mean, I could, but yay for getting this cut out of the way. I have to get it out of the way some point too, because then the caboose is in the way of those cars, right? I really like how this company house scene looks. Like that is a nice scene. Like with the bridge coming in, the crossing, the company houses, that is a rewarding scene. Like I would say that's a magazine cover scene. Ah, I love doing this show, but I'll tell you what, guys, it's like I mean, it's awesome, but it's just so much of a bummer to be like, oh, this is a great idea, I want to build this, and oh, this is a great idea, I want to build this in real life, and kind of having to recognize, you know, I have to pick and choose. I don't have infinite space. I don't have infinite choo-choos. It's so hard to settle on certain ones. Although I will say, we're going to talk more about this next month. I had an experience this past week that really made me feel good about the engine terminal layout. We'll play with that next month. Oh, that's a good scene in its own right. Like, just the steak. Oh, that makes me happy. That is so fun. Okay, so we've got our loads out of the way. We've got our caboose out of the way so that we can just hook up and go to it. I'm gonna unload these cars so I'm not confusing well, I don't suppose I need to worry about that. So those cars are set aside. We're gonna grab the empties. So all these are 11 empties plus the tank car. The tank car we're gonna drop on the spur of the mine. Then we've put the 6 here, the 5 there, and then we're good. And again, this is a layout that will accommodate that Broadway Limited T1, because the minimum radius in HO for the Pond Creek branch is 22 inches, which, if you do a straight conversion to N scale, oh, what is that? So 22 divided by 160, 12-inch minimum radius curves. And the recommended minimum radius for this engine is 9.75 inches. So even though you're looking at going around the curves going, man, that's a lot of overhang, it is up to the task. This engine will work on this layout. Oh, man. I love this so much. So I gotta ask you guys, you know, in doing these live streams, has there been anything that has really helped you as far as where did those loaded cars come from? Oh, those are the original loads. Oh, and the boxcar from there, right? Of course, that's what those are. Switching so many cars, I forget what I have. Well, so I'm gonna need to put those over there. The boxcar will have to stay with me. Or put the boxcar on the end with the caboose. I don't really want the boxcar in the middle of a bunch of cool cars. Oh, yeah, we'll leave it with the tank car on the spur, of course. But yeah, so my question is there anything that I've done on a live stream that's helped you out with your layout design or building? I'd really love to know if there's something that you've seen that's really been beneficial. Because I do this for fun, number one. But if there's ways in which there's certain things that you find helpful, I'm all here for it. Okay, so that takes care of the tank car, and then we'll come back for the box car after we've switched out the rest of the hoppers. These are going to go there, those are going to go there. Perfect. We'll stop. Uncouple, back up. I feel like I'm gonna jinx myself by saying this, but today's switch has been going really well. I haven't had any nasty surprises and no derailment, so I'm really happy. I know I'm tempting fate with that statement because we still have a ways to go, but I'm gonna stick with that statement. I feel good. So, I'll tell you what, if you're watching live, you stick around to the end. I'm going to let you know what I plan to do for next month's live stream toward the end of this. Alright, we're all coupled up. We'll get these guys moved out of the way. And I'm probably going to put them down there, but I don't need to keep shoving that whole cut once I come back in. Or wait, no, I have all... That is all of the loads. These are all empties that are getting distributed. So I can make them there. Perfect. Stopping, uncoupling, and reversing. Past couple of months for me, do let me know how your layouts are coming along. For me, I've been good with Greenfield Village. In fact, I just recently finished this farm scene. I am so happy with it. Like, it just looks beautiful. I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. My goal is to get the layout done within the next couple of months, and I feel like I'm going to be able to do that. It makes me really happy to see it come together, and these ideas I had in my mind really crystallize into a finished layout. So that I'm not looking at it going, okay, what do I have to do next? But instead, I'm just able to enjoy it for what it is. Alrighty, we'll put this cut of 6 cars in, and then we'll put 5 down at the end of the line here. And of course, there's a number of ways in which you could play with your operating scheme with this. I mean, I made these kind of easy by only putting the cars in tracks and leaving myself room, but you could fill your tracks up. I mean, you could really fill your tracks up. You have to switch everything. That could be kind of fun to play with. 3, 4, so this is our separation car. on either side. And then, nope, not that way. We go the other way. So these, ignoring this car, empty cars are going down to the far end. Millennial Modeler, you think it's great to immerse yourself in other layout designs for a few hours on these streams and get away from my own layouts for a bit? Yeah, I think that's part of what I like about it. I mean, for me, just doing these is immersive in and of itself. Like, it's just so great to kind of be lost in doing this. But it is true, you get a different perspective when it's like, let me think about something that's completely unrelated to the thing that I already or the thing that I usually do. I think there is something really satisfying about that. Oh, that is satisfying. Like, I look at, like, these are really satisfying scenes in their own rights. So if I wanted to make my switching a little bit more challenging, the mind could say, well, we want 3 cars here and 2 cars here, and I'd have to split them. But I'm going to keep it easy on myself. We're going to put them all on the same track. Just because we're making a good time. I feel good. We detailed, well, we didn't detail, but we finished the basic scenery on the entire layout, which is a nice accomplishment. I really love the design. And we've done a good amount of ops for today. Like, this is a good ops session. Okay, so that is everything where it needs to be. Now I just need to retrieve the boxcar, retrieve my loaded coal cars, and then we're going to get underway back to staging. And probably do a victory lap because yay for victory laps. Talk about a nice photo worthy scene. How about this? That's a good scene right there. That makes me happy. Oh, I need to make sure I uncouple the tank car. There we go. Now I come back. Got our box car. We've got our empty, presumably empty box car, and our empty hoppers, and we're gonna. I love that the Broadway Limited engine, the T1, has the 2 separate whistles as well. So it has the hooter. The Reading one chime, as well as the Reading Rambles whistles, and you can switch between the 2. I will say, so you saw a glimpse of her in the video. My wife and I were playing with the trains. We set them up on the dining room table, and that's where I filmed that piece. And her ranking, she liked the T1. She thought it was a good locomotive. She loved the stock cars. And we're good to get underway. I wonder if I can make this rear light turn on by switching the cons this direction. Yep, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, I'll just enable it from this point. I love the fact that they made the rear headlight on the Broadway one work as well. I thought that was really clever that they got that to function well. Wait, where's the rest of my train? Oh, duh, I hooked up to the empty... hooked up to the wrong set of cars. Why did I do that? I'm taking loads out, not empties. Okay. We're gonna rewind that, sort of. Not sure why I was thinking that. Yay for the fast forward button. So that we can couple onto the actual cars we're actually supposed to be taking. There we go. Now. Yes, why would I be leaving town with empty hoppers? I do not. There we go. That's what I meant to be doing. And look at that. Even though we started the live stream late, we're coming in for an on-time arrival. Look at that. Like, you get a nice beefy, you could work this layout and have a nice beefy hopper train of 17 cars. With the capacity for more, the only reason I don't have more is that the die only goes up to 6. But you could have every single mine track be full and have to replace every single one with empty cars. That could be kind of an interesting way to do it. Oh, I think I'm on the wrong track. Going into staging, because I'm coming on the... Yep, I'm coming on the track that I would crash into. So, before I crash and people tell me that I have to do certain kinds of testing... Oh, no, it still has the switch locked, of course. Well, let's just move it out this way. Alright, we'll just move out of the radio path. There we go. Now we're able to go around in a full circle. Now we could do our victory lap. I'm glad I had the chance to show you guys too how this, how to do this kind of double layered effect. I mean, obviously Train Z with the smoke going through the ground is what it is, but at least it gives you that feeling of, okay, here's my train in the staging, so I could see what that looks like and how that works. And then we'll re-emerge from here and my switches are set correctly. I'm so happy with how that worked out. That was so much fun. So, sit, Luca. This is like the 4th time he's coming on my lap. Go figure. So now we'll just pull it into staging and stop. And we're going to do bonus round. Since we're a little early, we're going to do bonus round. We're going to do a quick passenger train run. We're going to go bring the passenger train into the scene, run around the train, and depart. And just to see if this massive train fits into the staging, or at least fits enough that it isn't visible outside. Let's see. Oh, wrong way. No wonder it was stopping. Okay, so survey says yes, the train does completely fit inside the hidden portion of the layout. And then the next question is, does it fit inside the passing loop? And I think the answer to that question is going to be yes. Yep, fits entirely inside the passing loop. So you could have one train queued up, and if you didn't have cars occupying, or even if you did have cars occupying, it would affect how you switch it out. Point is, you could have a train sitting in your staging, and you could still run things around. And if you really wanted to, it would be possible to put another switch in here, and then you could have another spare track for like a bud car or short passenger train or something like that. I'm going to leave it the way it is because in Train Z it's so easy to spawn in trains. But just to say, when you build it, you could do it your own way. Now, bonus round, we're going to do a passenger run. Just a quick little out and back kind of thing, and then we're going to call it a day. So, just for the fun of it. So we're going to do the T1 in the freight scheme because we did the Rambles scheme a moment ago. So freight passenger, and then I need GG coaches. Yep, our true coach. Let's do a combine and a coach. That feels like this shouldn't be a major train. So let's see, an R-Truth coach. I like that. Okay, here we go. Passenger train, take 1. I have no idea if the T1s actually did local passenger service like this. But it's what we got. It's what I feel like running. It's what we're going to do. Oh. And I spoke too soon about switches. I did. Well, at least that's a pretty minor thing to fix. I can fix that really easily. Partially just by moving the train over to the other track. Okay. Take 2. Trains departing staging. Nice little short array of cars. We're going to come into the scene, bring her to a stop, run around the cars, and then we'll take off. So, last question for you guys for the night is what kind of builds or types of layouts you'd like to see me cover in the future of the live stream. I suppose now I can tell you what I have envisioned for next month. So next month, well, I should start with the story. Oh, hey, Joey the Cat. Is there a site where you can get more prototypical engine sound for the Ready T1s? I mean, I think they sound pretty realistic to me. I would just try the download station and use other locomotive sounds if you prefer. Okay. It might not fit with the overhangs, but we're going to make it work for this run. Because why not? So, story time. So this past week, I had the pleasure of going to Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks. My first time in both parks. And it was truly beautiful. I love the scenery in both of these places. While we were headed towards Yellowstone, we were coming from the north. We were coming from Bozeman. Got lucky and saw trains on Bozeman Pass. But when we were heading from Livingston, Montana to Gardner, which is right at the entrance of the park, we were paralleling the old roadbed for the Northern Pacific's branch line to Yellowstone Park. And I thought, and I love this idea of trains going to some type of resort. And so I might still be doing the resort thing, but I will also just say that all of the sagebrush and that kind of scenery, it really, so that was one piece of the experience. And then the other piece was seeing how the West is truly wild. Because these parks are just so massive, and it's so strange to be on these roads where there's no billboards, no gas stations, no Dollar Generals, nothing. Like, you're just driving and just seeing this beautiful scenery. And especially when you walk away from the roads, I thought, this is so pretty. And this is what it must have felt like for the surveyors when they were looking at this land. I mean, obviously nobody ever built tracks through Yellowstone, but so much of the West looked like that, and the surveyors would see this and see the pathways to building track. So next month, we're going to build a layout set in the 1860s that evokes, late 1860s, probably more like early 1870s, that evokes the Wild West. I think I know the track plan I want to use, but that's what we're gonna wind the clocks back to the 1870s, and we're gonna do something that's truly wild. So that's gonna be fun. Our passenger train is assembled, we're set to go back into the staging. I'm gonna change direction so that we've got the headlight on, or the tender light on. That is an awesome scene. I love that. So, you can look forward to that next month, but I'm always open to your suggestions. Looking for, oh, there is a site. Sorry, Joey, I misread your comment. Dakota Plays, you love Yellowstone too. Nice. Steel mill set in the steam era, steel. I'd love to do something steel mill related. The challenge is that there's just such a lack of assets to use in Train Z. It's something I want to do, but I wish there were more assets to do it with. So, yes, I want to do a steel mill. So that is a good suggestion. Deadwood Central. Not familiar with that one. I'll Google it and see what I come up with. Tweetsy Railroad. Yeah, actually, I came across a really cool Tweetsy plan in the recent model railroad planning that I might consider worthy of building, John. And then Dakota Plays Black Hills of South Dakota. I mean, if you could come up with a model railroad track plan for me, Dakota, I might do it. I tend to like pre-existing plans for the sake of the show. Um, but yes, one last look at the Pond Creek branch of the Reading, originally built or originally designed by Daniel Bourque of Appalachian Railroad Modeling. Link in the description to his article about the track plan. This is my what we've come up with after 2 hours of construction. I'm definitely going to do some finessing of the scenery on this, more grass, finishing placing the signs. Probably change that for a paved road just to provide a little variety from the dirt roads. And then that's going to be done and that's going to be shipped. So, like always, you could expect to see it first on Patreon by going to patreon.com/theroundhouse. For supporting me for as little as $1 a month, you get early access to Train Z layouts right now. The Metro Belt and Terminal is available for download. And then a couple months later, you can expect to see it on GreatTrainLayoutsLive.com and enjoy it there. But this has been fun, as always. It's great to be with you. I really enjoy this time that we get to spend together and having fun in Train Z, having fun bringing these visions to life. This is a fun one. We work at HO, work at N. Thank you to Broadway Limited, sponsor of today's live stream, Building It with Broadway. You could see how you could get swept away by how awesome an engine is. And decide, you know what? I'm going to make a layout just because I love this engine so much. But this has been a fun build. Until next month, I'm Nick Ozrak. Thank you as always for supporting me and these creative endeavors that I do, whether it's this, the Roundhouse, all of the above. It's great to have you along for the ride. Thank you, and have a good night.